can't make a video like this with you here, can I? There's no good looking at me like that. I cannot make a video with you sitting on my lap. What are we going to do with you? What are we going to do? Come on, move then. Come on, off you go. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're here for the very first time, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Jane, my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, we have no debt, we've paid off the mortgage and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we bring to you an aspect of our personal life here in France and everything to do with money saving. We are facing a load of farmers' protests and maybe farmers' blockades here in France. So I thought I would share with you what do we do to prepare for any sort of major that could become, they're local at the moment, but they could become national disruptions, and what we do as individuals to make sure that we're prepared for any disruptions and we don't end up with an empty fridge. So, something you get used to when you live in France, and you hear the two words a lot and you learn them almost the day you drive off the ferry. And there's the word grève, which is strike, and manifestation, which is a big protest, and they do it really, really well. So let's start off by telling you what the farmers here are really upset about. And it isn't just one thing they're upset about, there's a lot they're upset about. Currently, they are really upset with the fact that the European Union, which is a very big economic organisation looking after the economies of 27 countries, has a trade pact with 4 South American countries, Uruguay, Brazil, anyway, 4 South American countries. And the farmers are really afraid that it's going to really impact on their viability here and the money that they make here. But that's not all they're unhappy about and all they're protesting about. They're also unhappy about the very strict rules there are here in France. There are rules here in France on when a farmer can use fertilizer, if and when a farmer can use weed killer, if and when a farmer can use pesticides or herbicides, for example. Very, very strict rules. They feel that they are very unfairly taxed. They're kind of taxed on the year before, and for example, this year has been a disastrous year for French farmers. It's been the wettest year on records and the temperatures have been really low. So we're all going to feel the worst of that, aren't we? We are all going to pay more for food because of this. They've had no concessions made. So there's been no sort of like tax back or tax breaks or anything because of this year. They're also really struggling to get any workers, and there's really strict rules on employment here. There's strict rules on immigration, and I'm going to share with you the fact that they're saying that they can't compete with countries, for example, like Spain. Whether Spain can employ seasonal migrant workers from outside of the European Union, or whether they can have full-time workers from outside the European Union, what kind of contracts they can play, what they have to pay them, I can't tell you, because it wouldn't sound good. It would sound like I'm prejudiced against the Spanish, and I don't want you to think that I am. But the French farmers feel that the Spanish farmers have some kind of economic advantage. So I'm going to go into now what it's like in strike season, of when the farmers are striking or when anybody is protesting, and the kind of things that they do. So as you know, I'm British and I'm used to strikes of a certain level in the UK, but to have a strike or have any kind of protest in the UK, you have to have permission. You have to have permission. You have to do it in a certain legal way. In France, you have completely the right to protest and completely the right to strike. So when there are these massive protests or massive strikes, the police are very hands off to a degree. And I'm going to go through the sort of type of things that people do, not just farmers, but unions in general and people protesting in general. The first thing that people like to go for are fuel depots, blockading the fuel depots. If you stop the fuel tankers getting out and delivering fuel, you can bring the country to a standstill. And also when they protest and they have their big protests, what they'll do is they will block the major motorway intersections and junctions. So you stop all the traffic. So the farmers, their protests are verging on poetic. One of my favourite things that they did is that they went into the supermarkets, they took everything off the shelves that wasn't French, especially the fresh food. They put it in a trolley, they marked it in some way that it was imported or it wasn't French, and then they took it outside the store and they left it in a trolley outside the door. Now that food cannot come back in and it cannot go back on the shelf and it cannot be sold. Some of the things that they've done have been extraordinary. Opening a truck full of a herd of cows and letting them loose in the supermarket. I've seen that done, not personally, I've seen it on TV. I've seen them let loose poultry and livestock and sheep into supermarkets. I've seen them go into, on the TV, not personally, I've seen them go into the supermarkets and put markers or stickers or stuff all over the food that is imported. We've seen them go to the prefecture, the big government buildings, and we've seen them literally brick up with cement and brick up the doorways of government buildings. We've seen them cover government buildings in rubbish and farmyard manure, spraying gallons of it over everything. So like I said, the farmers' protests, when they kick off, if they're unhappy about something, it is massive. Now, another word that you learn really quickly when you get here is solidarity. And that actually the French workers, the French people see themselves as on a level playing field with other workers. So whether it's the doctors and the nurses are having a protest or a strike, there is solidarity with them, whether it is the shop workers, the dockyard workers, the factory workers or the farmers. People see a worker is on level with a worker, and that word solidarity. So you will hear people saying repeatedly that they are in solidarity with the farmers. And we frequently see in the supermarket, if people are picking through or they're checking the fruit, the vegetables, they're looking for it. And you can see them, if it's Spanish or if it's imported, they will often refuse to buy it. Then it will be left and they won't buy it, they don't like it. And we can say honestly that 90% of the food that we buy and see in our supermarkets is French, and that we buy it in French because we feel just like the other people here that we are in solidarity with all those other workers. So I think I'll now explain to you that what we do if we know that protests or strikes or anything like that are coming up, what we do to prepare for that. First of all, I want to say to you that I feel people here are very organised with their shopping. I did notice today when I went to the supermarket today, people were very organised with what they buy. They'll get plenty of what they need and do a reasonable sized shop. The second part of that is that we live like that as well. I've always got at least a month's worth of food in the house. And when it comes to strikes or protests or anything like this, they can blow over in a couple of weeks. I really hope that people are listening to the farmers, especially on imports and especially on the fact that the supermarkets don't pay them very fairly, and also that they need some kind of tax breaks or tax concessions because they've had a very rough year. We accept as consumers that price rises are inevitable because of the very poor summer, the very poor harvest, things are going to be expensive. We also accept that it's going to be painful for a short period of time. It's okay. So if anything comes up that there's sort of a rumour in the wind that there's going to be protests and that they could get bigger, one of the first things we always do is fill the car up with fuel to make sure that we've got plenty of fuel. We don't stockpile fuel. We wouldn't have gone out and bought, cans full of fuel because, we can ride this out for a few weeks. It's okay. And these things do blow over. We don't get too concerned about it. But I just think it's really important for us to say to you that as a country, people are just very accepting of this. And like I said, that word that we learned really quickly when we came here about solidarity is really, really important, that the farmers are essential. No farmers, no food. And we as a couple support their actions entirely. Now, if there are any shortages of any sort, because of the way the French shop, we have always got our village markets. And our food from our village markets is so local that some of that fruit and veg is actually grown here in this village. I can go to my market and buy fruit and veg literally from my neighbourhood, from within a postcode. So within a postcode, within a certain area. So we don't get too concerned. There isn't panic buying. Even in the pandemic, even at the beginning of that, when we knew we were going to be locked down and we didn't know what that would look like and what that would entail or how long it would last. And lots of us, and we included, did go out to the supermarket, most to the point that, we just thought it would be, at the time, we felt it would be safer if we stayed at home. And the supermarkets were not stripped. There was never a shortage of anything. There are a few things people bought up quite a lot of were things like pasta and rice. But we never ran out of toilet rolls. Nobody emptied the shelves of wine. There was never any problems. There was always meat. There was always butter. There was always vegetables. So it's not within the sort of we didn't see it here. I always think Paris is a different animal. Perhaps people in Paris might have gone out and really, emptied the shops out, but we didn't see it. We really didn't see it, and especially where we live. The dog is back. This is Mary Poppins. She's our young dog, and as you can see, she's quite needy. So there we go. We've got farmers' protests, we've got farmers' strikes, we've got farmers who are very upset and angry about things, and it can spread. So at the moment, it's in certain areas, but the Breton farmers, they always join in with this. They always come out in sympathy with other farmers around the country. Could there be shortages? It could be. Are we well prepared? Yes. Do we economically prepare for things like this? Yes, we've always got food in the house. Winter's coming up. We can get winter storms. Might not want to go out in weather that's pouring with rain and wind coming in sideways. So yes, we are prepared. Will it be an inconvenience? It could be. It could be. If anything does come up and it does kick off into something major, follow our community page and we'll pop some news items in there for you. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't worry about us if you've heard about the French farmers' protests and strikes. Sorry about my dog. If you hear about that, these things happen in France. We're very well aware of it. And as I said, we are completely in solidarity with the French farmers, because no farmers, no food. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.